for you AMs and beginners out there is about course management. Played with people that will always be on the fence about what they should hit off the tee. And a lot of people say, well, you just bang driver, get as close to the green as possible. That can work on some holes, but it's not an every hole thing. So one way that I tend to think about a tee shot is I'm examining what's in front of me and where the flag is. And what that's going to allow me to do is it's going to put me in the best position to hit a good second shot. Your first shot ultimately is trying to set up your second shot. So, for example, this is the first hole at Oak Tree Country Club here in Tehachapi, where I live and where I do most of my practice. It is a downhill par 4, elevated tee, about 19 yards. And there's two options on this tee shot. Number one, there's a bunker out there on the left, kind of a clover-shaped bunker. It's only 225 to cover. You get it to that or over it, it's gonna leave you a wedge in. The other shot, if you have the distance, you can hit driver over that bunker and cut it as the flag goes back to the, or as the green goes back to the right. But what's the best option for you? What's gonna put you in the best position to hit a good shot coming in? That's something that amateurs and beginners need to consider before they go up to the tee, instead of just grabbing driver and blasting it all over the yard. You're gonna find that your scores are going to drop if you're playing from easier positions and from comfortable distances. If you hit your 2-iron or driving iron or hybrid or 3-wood, whatever club it is, 230, 240 on a 350, 360 yard hole, and you have a 110, 120 yard wedge in, it's gonna be a way easier shot than hitting your driver 270, 280, and now you have an awkward wedge distance to perhaps a tucked pin or a back pin or a pin that's right up front. So making a good decision off the first tee and of your first shot is very important. So in the coming clips, I'm going to show you some of the advantages and disadvantages of hitting driver on a hole versus taking a different club and leaving yourself a little bit different distance. Yes, it's going to change kind of how you play the hole, obviously. It's going to change your distances a little bit, but you're going to find that if you're playing to a specific number, and especially a number that you like, you're going to have more success. You're going to hit better shots, you're going to hit more greens, and over time you're going to see your scores start to drop. So this first clip, you're just going to see me hit a 2-iron. This is just to get the ball in play and leave myself a reasonable distance into the green for the second shot. And that's center of the fairway. It's going to be about 120, 130 yards in. Now, for the second shot in question, I'll hit driver and knock this up close to the green. And yes, it's going to be a little bit of a different distance in, but there's more than one way you can play the hole. And that's on the left side of the fairway, and it's going to be a good second shot in. So the first ball left me 118 yards into a front pin. That's a great number for me for a stock 50 degrees. May just have to take a little bit off of it, but it's a much more comfortable distance. And that ended up about pin high right, about 15 feet from the hole. We have a good look at birdie. So even though I'm in the fairway here, I'm at 63 yards, which is a bit of an uncomfortable distance into the green. The ball's not going to stop nearly as easily. It's still a look, but also the angle is a little bit weird. I have a little bit less green to work with. I have another putt for birdie, but it's about the same distance as the other one. So here's the shot from 118. And here's the shot from 63 yards. Both good birdie looks, but this shot from 118 is a little bit easier because it's more of a full swing and it's not as much of an awkward distance. What I want to instill in the viewer is to play to position. You don't always have to hit driver every single hole. If you can put yourself in a good position off the tee, you're going to find yourself hitting easier shots for one, but also lowering your scores over time. Another big part of course management is knowing where to play on a par 3. You don't always have to go pin seeking, okay? Sometimes the more optimal choice is to play for the middle of the green, make a 2-putt par, and move on to the next hole. So for example, on this par 3, this is second hole at Oak Tree, the pin is all the way back. It's 165 yards. The pin's are moved enough from the bunker, from the front left bunker, that I have room to go after. So on this swing I will, and on the next swing, I'm gonna play to the right of the flag. That first ball was on target, just came up a little bit short of the flag, but it was right on the line I chose. So for this second shot, I'm gonna aim a little bit more right, more at that big pine tree out there, and just gonna give it the same swing and leave myself safely on the green. Both options are on the green. And the thing is that, sure, you can put it on the green, but you want to make it easier on yourself. Golf is already a hard game as it is. Why make it harder? Sometimes taking the easier shot, almost guaranteeing that you're on the green and you have a putt at birdie or a putt at par or whatever it is way better and way more optimal than going right at the flag and adding a degree of difficulty that isn't always necessary. So here's the first ball I hit. It was just a touch high on the face. It added a little bit extra spin. The pitch mark's just up there about 5 feet, but I still have a birdie putt. Now the second ball I hit that I aimed at that tree right there, started right at it, cut a few yards, and ended up there. That putt might be a little bit longer, but there was less unnecessary risk in going right at the flag, especially because of how far back the flag is, that if this putt or if this approach goes long, then I have a very difficult chip from back there, especially coming downhill. The point that I'm trying to make here is that golf is already difficult as it is, and I know I already said that. Golf's already hard. Why add degrees of difficulty that are unnecessary? If you're trying to lower your scores and improve overall, play to the center of the green, play to the wide part of the green. You see how big this green is? Play to the right of it, especially if the flag is on the left. Obviously, if the flag's in the middle of the green, different story. You can go right at it. But give yourself the best chance at birdie or par. Even if you have a longer putt, give yourself your 2-putt and move on to the next hole. So another good example of risk reward on this course especially is the 7th hole. This is a drivable par 4, okay? But again, there's 2 shots because you have a tree right here that's going to be in the flight path. So right there, it's going to require you to hit it up a little bit high. And number 2, there's water in front of the green. Water is only about 225 or so to cover. The green's about 260. So, much like we've been saying earlier, putting yourself in the best position. So option 1 is you can hit a mid-iron, 7, 8 iron, just right out in the fairway. That's all you need to do on some of these holes is just put yourself in a good spot for the second shot. So I'll walk you through that. I have a 7 iron in hand, and I'm just gonna put this over that line right there and put it right out in the middle of the fairway. And that's gonna leave me a good distance in. That's gonna be in position A for the second shot. Option 2, I can hit a 2 iron over the water and try to put one up close to the green. This is definition of risk reward right here. You take the risk and it works out, you get rewarded, you're on the green, you got a little chip shot, that's fine. But is it the recommended play? Not really. It's not, especially for beginners and amateurs. You're gonna have way more success playing a little bit safer and playing to distances and setting yourself up on the second shot to be more comfortable. But I'm still gonna walk through going for this green. The risk reward paid off somewhat, okay? Just short of the green, but it's gonna be a chip up. The point that I'm trying to make, and I know that it's probably gonna sound a little bit backwards. Yeah, did I take the risky play there? Yes. But where I'm directing this point is at the beginners and amateurs that are watching this video, or people who just feel the need to work on their course management a little bit more. You don't always need to take that play. If you're concerned about, man, I just want to get it in the fairway, you know, I'm having a hard time, or, you know, I want to hit this club into the green, then there's always that choice. There is always a safe play on a hole, especially for people that are trying to improve. And a great example is the 7th hole at Oak Tree. There is 2 options, but the majority of beginners and AMs, I would suggest you hit a mid-iron right over the reeds, right out into the fairway. It's gonna leave you a much more simple shot into the green. So on that first ball, it ended up 74 yards from the flag. Probably a little bit left of where I was shooting for, but it took the water out of play, and now I have a wedge in. This is the example that I can give of the little bit safer play, maybe being a little bit more optimal. I took all the trouble out of play here. Now it's just a pitch shot in. And I have a putted birdie. It's that simple. You play a little bit safer, you're gonna have easier shots. So the second tee shot I hit with the 2-iron going at the green, settled right here. Not quite close enough to putt it, but now we gotta see if we can make the risk reward pay off, okay? So it's a simple chip. The lie's not the best, it's kind of sitting down. Chipped it up to tap-in range. There it is right there. So, yeah, there are times where you take the risk and you get rewarded, but there are also situations where sometimes you take the risk and it doesn't work out. You know, they say if you play with fire, sometimes you're gonna get burned. That's what happens sometimes when you take the risk. I took it there, it paid off for me, I ended up walking away with birdie. But for you beginners and AMs out there, the risk reward, it's not always optimal. It's not always your best option. Especially those, you know, like I've been saying, that are trying to improve and, you know, trying to lower their scores, lower their handicap, you know, shoot a personal best, whatever it may be. You're going to do that by making the game easier on yourself. You make the game easier on yourself, more shots are going to come to you, because you're going to be in a position where, oh, I have 100 yards. I know that shot really well. Or maybe your comfortable distance is 120 yards. Everybody's comfortable distance on the second shot is a little bit different. I know for me, especially if I'm playing a course that I'm not very familiar with, and there's a hole that I'm like, I'm not too sure what I want to do here, I'm playing for a certain yardage into the green. If I have a 370 yard par 4, my favorite distance into the green is anywhere from about 100 to maybe 120, because I'm comfortable with my wedges, especially if I have a 50 degree or a 54 degree in my hand. So 100 to 120 is a target distance. So if I have a 370 yard hole, more often than not, I'm probably hitting 3-wood or maybe hitting 2-iron, depending on the situation, because that's going to leave me a club in that I really like to hit, and I know that I can hit it close. And that applies to everybody, whether you're just starting out or you're a professional like me. You have a distance that you really like into the green. It's something that fits your eye. It's a stock wedge swing. Whatever the situation is, play to that number. It's going to make the game easier. The reason why I'm hammering on about this point is for the amateur players and the beginner players. as I've been saying and repeating myself, golf is already hard. So try your best to make it as easy as you can. What benefit are you going to have going right at the flag every single time to hit it a few feet closer, where you could take the easier shot and leave yourself almost a guaranteed putt at birdie or par or whatever it may be? Same thing with off the tee. What benefit are you getting hitting driver every time and knocking it closer to the green, but leaving yourself an awkward second shot, as opposed to playing back a little bit and leaving yourself a more comfortable full swing distance into the green? That's the main thing that I want to get across to amateurs and beginners about course management. You don't always have to hit driver, and you don't always have to go at the flag. You want to make things as comfortable and as manageable as possible. And over time, you're going to see your scores start to improve.